The Open has come to a close. The final week gave us plenty of small numbers and big stats that we'll dive headfirst into before the season moves forward. Coming up on Inside the Leaderboard. How's it going, everyone? Tommy Marquez here with another edition of Inside the Leaderboard. And I think we all kind of had a pretty good idea of what was going to come down the pipe in the final week of the Open. But now that the dust has settled on the leaderboard, there are some performances that are certainly worth taking a deeper look at. And first up, we have lucky number 7, an important historical number for Saxon Panchik, because 7 of the previous 11 years in the Open, the worldwide winner on the men's side went on to podium, which would be a career best finish for Saxon. But there's more than meets the eye with this stat, because all 7 of those podiums came from just 2 men, Rich Froning and Matt Fraser. So Panchik could be the first to do so outside of the dominance of the 2 eras between Froning and Fraser. Up next, we're going to drop it down just a little notch, because the number 6 is next in line. With few exceptions, every year of the Open, eventual games rookies show up inside the top 10 worldwide. It's a stat we've talked about before on this show, and after 3 weeks, 6 athletes have a chance to keep this trend going. Matt Poulin, Laurie Clement, Phil Toon, Victor Lundahl, Alexis Raptis, and Dallin Pepper must now carry the torch forward in 2022. And honestly, I'd hang my hat on at least 2 of these athletes qualifying for the games this season. 2 women looking to do more than just qualify are Tia-Clair and Mal O'Brien, which is why our last number is 37. 37 is the number of seconds and total time that separated these 2 across the 3 tests of the Open. Using Tia's ret pacing in her final round of 22.1, Mal was 40 seconds ahead of her when factoring where they finished. Subtract the 4 seconds that Tia beat Mal by in week 2 and add a second that was gained by Mal after Tia's false start penalty, and Mal's score was adjusted to reflect her actual finish time, and we're left, well, with one of the closest races ever in the Open, not just by points, but by actual time on the clock as well. So let's hit depth on that razor-thin margin, because it is setting up a race we'll be watching closely all season long. These are the closest races based on points margin across the 12-year history of the Open. Now, I should note, we use average point margin per week to account for the fact that there are varying numbers of tests year to year and put this on an even playing field. Only a handful of times have there been closer races points-wise, but more importantly, those races ultimately carried over into strong performances by both athletes in the games. In every instance, both athletes were able to crack the top 10, with the caveat being Jamie Simmons, of course, back in 2016 went team. But this is more reason to get excited about the prospects of what we'll ultimately see play out across the entirety of the season between these 2 athletes the rest of the way. The season moves forward. Up next, we have the quarterfinals. Individuals will go first. Their dates are March 24th through the 27th, followed by the teams 2 weeks later, going April 7th through the 10th. And last but certainly not least, the age group quarterfinals will kick off April 21st, wrapping up on the 24th. That's going to do it for this edition of Inside the Leaderboard. I'm Tommy Marquez. We'll see you guys next week when we preview the quarterfinals.